Have you ever felt betrayed by the very people you once considered your entire world? When the music soothes broken souls, a friendship was forged that transcended all thrones. But when the darkness of power rises, loyalty will become a death sentence. Do you have the courage to keep a promise when the whole world turns its back on you? Have you ever thought that family pressure or societal expectations could turn you into an enemy of your own conscience? What happens when you are forced to choose between your own throne and the life of your best friend? Can a promise made in the shadow of death still hold value when you stand at the absolute pinnacle of power? In the world of Catholic saint stories, we often look for miracles from above. Yet, sometimes, the greatest miracle lies in the suffocating integrity between two souls caught in a whirlwind of hatred and power. Today, we aren't just recounting a dry historical tale. We are stepping into an ancient psychological action thriller about David and Jonathan, where arrows weren't just for hunting, but for redeeming a destiny. It all began not with swords, but with music. David, a simple shepherd boy with a pure soul, was brought into the palace merely to play the harp and soothe King Saul's bouts of panic. Back then, David was a remedy, a submissive intern. But then, the giant Goliath fell. All of Israel chanted David's name, and that was when the tragedy began. The greatest enemy is not the one holding a sword across from you, but the insecurity gnawing away inside yourself. When you find yourself jealous of another's success, that is the moment the Saul demon within is rising. King Saul looked at David and no longer saw a loyal servant. He saw a threat, a true identity crisis, when the people sang, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s." The old king's pride crumbled. Do not let the success of others become a mirror reflecting your own weaknesses. If you cannot rejoice for others, you are imprisoning yourself in the dungeon of self-pity. Amidst Saul's madness appeared Jonathan, the rightful crown prince. By conventional logic, Jonathan should have hated David the most, because if David took the throne, Jonathan would lose everything. But no, Catholic saint stories record a profoundly precious detail. Jonathan loved David as his own soul. This wasn't fleeting emotion. It was a silence of the ego that was truly staggering. Jonathan saw in David not a rival, but the righteousness of God. A person with strong inner fortitude doesn't need a seat of power to define their worth. Jonathan was great because he didn't need a crown to prove he was a king of character. When Saul ordered David's execution, Jonathan did something incredibly brave. He confronted the toxic CEO who was also his father. He didn't choose a side, he chose the truth. Justice has no blood ties. Sometimes, protecting the truth means standing on the opposite side of those we love most. The peace between Saul and David was a mere illusion. Saul's rage quickly resurfaced. David asked his friend in despair, "Why does your father want to take my life?" A heartbreaking question. And so, they established a signaling system that I can only describe as genius. In a desolate field before the new moon festival, they made a life and death covenant. Jonathan told David to hide behind a large rock. He would go out there to practice archery with a servant boy. If he shouted, "The arrows are on this side, it is safe." If he shouted, "The arrows are beyond you, red alert, run and never look back." Why archery? It was absolutely brilliant. In broad daylight, a prince going out to practice archery is the most normal thing in the world. No one would suspect a shouted command in the middle of an open field. Sincerity must be protected by wisdom. In a toxic environment, simple kindness is not enough. You need the shrewdness to shield those you love. At the new moon feast, when Jonathan stood up to plead for David, Saul completely lost his mind. He grabbed a spear and hurled it straight at his own son. Ouch! In that moment, the spear didn't just pierce the wall, it pierced Jonathan's heart. He realized his father was already dead on the inside. The next morning, Jonathan walked into the field. The bowstring tightened. The arrows took flight. "The arrow is beyond you." That shout was gut-wrenching. It was the death knell for a friendship. David emerged from behind the rock, and the two embraced, weeping bitterly. A battle-hardened general and a prince cried like children. They were helpless against the gears of toxic power. Some partings happen not because love has faded, but because destiny forces us to diverge to preserve life and mission. Accepting to let go is also a form of courage. Time passed. Saul and Jonathan fell in battle. David ascended the throne, holding absolute power in his hands. According to the political textbook of that era, David should have uprooted Saul's lineage to prevent future rebellion. No one could have blamed him if he did. But David was a completely different character in Catholic saints' stories. He did not let power corrupt him. He asked his court, "Is there anyone still left of the house of Saul to whom I can show God's kindness for Jonathan's sake?" They found Mephibosheth, Jonathan's son, a man crippled in both feet, living in hiding. David brought him back. I restored his family lands and had him eat at the king's table for the rest of his life. Wow, just imagine. David used the pinnacle of imperial power just to fulfill a small promise made to a deceased friend behind a rock years ago. A person's class is not found in how much power they possess, but in how they treat those who can no longer offer them any benefit. We may not live in palaces, nor do we have people throwing spears at us in boardrooms, but every day, we face King Saul's toxic work environments, unhealthy competition, and pressures that force us to trample others to get ahead. Do you dare to be a Jonathan, ready to protect a talented colleague even if it threatens your position? Do you dare to be a David, keeping a promise when you have reached success, even when the recipient is no longer there to demand it? Loyalty is never tested when things are sailing smoothly. It truly shines only when the arrows are fired and the storm rises. Do not let success make you forget those who hid behind the rock with you during the hardest days of your life. The story of David and Jonathan leaves us with a haunting question. If you had to choose between the throne and friendship, What would you choose? Jonathan chose friendship and righteousness. Though the price was the crown, David chose friendship and his promise. Though the price was political risk, in the end, what remained was not Saul's throne, but an immortal friendship that has entered human history as a symbol of loyalty. Catholic saint stories are not just tales of the past, they are lessons in keeping one's soul unpolluted in a world full of calculation. Be the one who fires the arrows of redemption, rather than throwing the spears of envy. Are you ready to keep a promise even when no one is watching?